Hello guys! Carl here from Groovy Domino's 52's channel. Anyway, in this video, we'll teach you how to do simple VFX in Blender. Now, let's get into the video.
So first up, we're going to go to Blender 4.0.2, and you're going to see this scene, obviously, if you have any experience with Blender, which I really hope you do. And then you're going to go to this plus right here. You're going to go to VFX Motion Tracking. Now we have this little menu here. Don't worry about any of these for now. These buttons, this and stuff. What you need to do is find the video on your computer, right, which I have right here, and you're just going to drag it onto there. And now if you film with a phone, then, or maybe this is just for me, but make sure that the power button is facing up to your ceiling. Otherwise, for whatever reason, Blender will flip your video in the wrong way, and you won't be able to use it, unfortunately. So if you did that, if you messed up, I'm sorry. Alright, so you're going to go here and click Set Scene Frames, which basically sets the amount of frames that your video has automatically. And then you're going to click Prefetch, which basically allows you to play the video. Because normally, if you don't select Prefetch, then it'll not play. It'll not play smoothly. It just won't play. Okay, next up, you're gonna go to this tab right here. We don't want location in this case. We want location, rotation, scale, which means that the motion trackers in your scene can move around, they can rotate, and they can change in size depending on what's happening in the scene. Next, you're going to go to match right here, and you're going to change it from keyframe to previous frame. I don't really know what that does. I just heard it makes it better. Same for normalize. I don't really know what that does. And you're going to go over to correlation. You're going to set this to 0.9. So what this means is that Blender needs to be at least 90% sure that a motion tracker is accurate before it places it down and moves on to the next frame. So now you can either manually place down some motion trackers by hitting Control on your MacBook, and you can change the size, and you have to click on a specific unique point where Blender can track. It's like if there's a pixel that seems darker or brighter than all the others, then you can select that. But in this case, I'm just going to select Detect Features, which, as you can see in my scene, there's a lot of them, but there may not be a lot of them in your scene. And you're going to click this little arrow that's pointing to the right here, and you're going to click it. And now what it's doing is it's tracking all of the trackers in our scene. So I'll be back when this is done. So once your trackers are done being tracked, I'd highly recommend that you go to the end of your scene and click Detect Features again, assuming that you want to use Detect Features instead of manually placing them down. And you're going to click this arrow going to the left, and they'll now track backwards. So this ensures a very good motion capture. So now just wait. Okay. Alright, my trackers have finally finished tracking. So now, so as you can see, there are some red, like these trackers that look red and not yellow like the rest of them. Those are trackers that did not fully track, like they lost track. So, what you're going to do is you're going to find all of those red trackers, and you're going to hold Shift and select them all. So now once you're done selecting them, you're going to click X and click Delete Track. And now all of the trackers that did not make it should be gone. Oh wait, I forgot one right here. Right? Yep, I did. Here we go. Boom. But that was just the beginning of the animation. So now you're going to go all the way here to the end. And now, no, more trackers. So I'm just kidding, it's not that bad. There we go. All done. So, next step is you're going to want to go to this Solve tab right here. So here we have keyframe A and keyframe B. And what these are is you pick two keyframes that have a large difference in maybe location on the camera, or rotation, or scale. And you just have to select two keyframes that have a big difference in those two things. Or you can select this keyframe button and Blender will do that for you. And I'd also recommend clicking this focal length button so that Blender finds the focal length of your camera for you. So now I'm going to go to here and click Solve Camera Motion. And it might take a little while, so just be prepared for that. So now once it's done, it'll give you a solve error. And so I got 0.79 pixels. And what that means is that number represents how off the virtual camera is from the real camera. And so you need to decrease that number for a more accurate track. So in order to do that, you're going to go to this cleanup section right here, and you're going to go to Clean Tracks. And you're going to see this tab right here. You click on it, and you see this reprojection error. And what this does is you start scrolling for the numbers. It shows you some trackers that are a bit off. So realistically, you want to get rid of so as you can see, these all seem pretty bad. So I'm just going to go ahead, get rid of them, and solve the camera motion again. So as you can see, my solve error went down. Now I'd recommend, and even the people who made Blender recommend, that this number should be 0.3 or less for a very accurate track. So I'm going to go ahead and obliterate some more of these trackers. And again, you use the clean tracks, change the reprojection error, make it a relatively high value, or as high as, like, that's quote unquote high. And then you're going to delete those trackers, and then you're going to go and click on solve camera motion. You're going to keep doing that until you're happy with the solve error. So as you can see, I've gotten a solve error of 0.29 pixels, which I'm very happy with. So now I can move on to the next step. So we're going to go over to Scene Setup, and we're going to click Set as Background and Set Up Tracking Scene. And now you can see in this view window over here, we have this setup scene with a cube and a plane. And those little pluses are actually the motion trackers. So, next up, our plane is not really locked to the floor. Like it can kind of become problematic, especially if you have a sort of fast shot. It may not lock to the ground properly. So what we're going to do is we're going to take 3 trackers that are sort of close to each other. We're going to select those 3, and then we're going to come over here and click floor. So as you can see, the camera has now moved so that the plane and the cube stay locked on that floor position. So now, if you want like a specific center, like you want this motion tracker to be the center, you're going to go over here, making sure that motion tracker is selected, and click Set Origin. And there you go. But we're still not done yet. So next up, if we go into our camera, you can see that the motion tracking is working relatively well. Something else I've forgotten to mention, make sure you set your FPS to the correct frames per second of your video. So in this case, I set mine to 60. And as you can see, at least for me, it's a very good track. The plane is following the camera, and it's just all in all really good. So now, what we want to do is you're going to delete the cube, and you're going to import whatever you want into the scene. So in this case, I have a motion capture of myself right there. It's just a little guy. He's sort of walking around. Now, I may do a tutorial for people who like to use Eevee as their renderer, but it works best with cycles. That does take longer, but it looks better in the end. So, let's go to render mode and make sure that in film it's set to transparent so that your video shows. Now, so in this case, what you're going to do is you're going to go out to here and render your image. Now what we want is we want the plane to be transparent, but we also want to see the shadow of our object. So let's see if that works. So my image just finished rendering, and as you can see, the shadow is working properly, and it actually is changing. Like you can see, it's fuzzy on the carpet, but it's smooth on the paper. So I think we have ourselves a successful render. Now, if you want to make a video, then I will warn you it will take much longer to make a video unless you have a really good processor. So I guess if you don't know how to make a video, you're going to select FFmpeg video, then change the container to MPEG-4, change the quality to whatever you want. I'd recommend medium quality, high quality, or perceptually lossless. And then you're just going to find the folder you want your animation to go into, and then you're just going to render it out. But yeah, I really hope you guys like my tutorial, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!